to fill up those cups when I'm feeling disappointed, or when I'm feeling down. I'm working on making sure that I fill those up myself, and I know where to turn to get the help and the support. You want to start that with your children at a young age by encouraging them, and making sure that you don't label them and that you don't give them praise, and change that to encouragement. All this helps them feel safe to make decisions on their own, to feel confident, to follow up, to take action. And then if they fail, if they make a wrong decision, then they know that they can figure it out, because you have been doing all these things for them to build up their self-esteem. So the next one is also take time to train your kids. If you have a manual, if you have rules in your home, make sure that you take time to train your children on a step-by-step way of how you want things to get done. Okay? What does that look like? What does cleaning the toilet look like? Okay, it means you grab the product to clean it. Which one? Step by step. Okay, which product? This product. Okay, then you lift the lid. Okay, where do you spray the product? Do you spray it everywhere? Do you spray it in how much? Now what? You grab the toilet brush. Okay, where do you put the toilet brush? Is it just on the inside, on the outside, everywhere? Okay, what next? Okay, wipe it down. All right, how much do you clean? Do you just want it brushed, or do you want to make sure that there's nothing in the toilet bowl? Be as specific as possible when you're training your kids. Do you want your kids to help with folding laundry? Okay, if you are very specific, okay, make sure that you take time to train them and ask them, do you feel confident now? Do you have any questions? Let's see. And walk them through it. Let them do it as if you were a manager training someone at your job to do another job, right? My son is working, and he became a manager, and he has to be training people all the time. And he came to me the other day. He's like, I don't know how to help. All I know is that this is how I learn. I'm like, well, yeah, you are more hands-on, but there's other people that learn in different ways. You need to figure out how your other employees will learn best, so the information is retained and they're more likely to succeed, because if they succeed, you succeed. It's the same rule when it comes to your home. If you want your children to succeed and learn all these skills and all these tools, so then they can live on their own and be successful human beings, you want to ensure that there's time for training on the things that they need to be in charge of. If they're in charge of doing the dishes, how do you want the dishes to be done? Do you want them to be washed, rinsed before? How do you want them to be put in? Okay, make sure that there's time for training. Those are some tools that will help your children feel more confident when it comes to making decisions. Okay, so because we don't really want to make the decisions for them. Especially if they're teenagers, if your kids are like 12 and up, do you really want your children to blindly follow whatever someone else tells them to do? No, I don't. I want them to have an opinion. I want them to have a say. I want them to check in with their spirit and be like, that doesn't feel good, or check in with their bodies and be like, no, I don't agree with that. I want them to speak up and say, no, but it all starts with the home. If you are not producing those types of environments or opportunities for your children to make those decisions, to take the time to think for themselves, then most likely they're going to do that outside of the home. The home is the perfect place for them to learn how to make empowered decisions. And if they fail, how to get themselves back up, how to ask for help, how to have the right support, and how to make amends when they have wronged, right? The home is the perfect playground for this. And with your guidance, what more can they ask, right? But if we are concerned about who has the power, who has the authority in the home, this is not going to happen, because then you're worried about the power, who has the power, and you're always going to have the power because you pay the bills. And I know you may think that you don't have the power, but you do. You're in charge of the food. You're in charge of the bills. You're in charge of the home. You're in charge of the rights. You're in charge of their clothes, everything, food, home, and shelter. So you are in control. Even though you may feel like a victim, you're not. You're the adult. It is all up to you. So my next tool that I want to give out, and this is to help, again, create a decision-rich environment for your children, whatever age they're in. I was telling this to my sister because she was so overwhelmed the other day. And this is a tool that has really worked for me. And it's called the wood. It's when you give your children two options, and those two options are things that you chose. Okay. So it looks like, would you rather do your homework now, or would you rather do your homework at 4:15? There are two choices where they have to get that done. It has to get done. And there are two of the choices that you came up with. And the two choices have to be within the boundaries you provided in the home. Okay, if your daughter wants to go out, then okay, you can go out either Wednesday or Thursday. Or if you go out, you can go out with a group of friends or with me. Which one is it? You decide. And then when you give them those two options, make sure that you let them choose. And if they don't choose, this is the fun part. I mean, if they don't choose, then you follow up with, okay, since you didn't choose, I will choose for you. And you walk away. You don't stay there waiting for a power struggle, waiting for a fight, waiting for a comeback. You walk away. That lets them know you mean business. That lets them know that if they don't make the choice, other people will make it for them, or the circumstances will make the decision for them. You're teaching them that eventually, if things don't get done, then things will happen to them. Okay. So you're just training them. Again, the home is where they learn all the tools and all the opportunities that they will have. But when they are older and when they leave the home, it is a lot different, right? In the home, at least they have the two choices that you provided, and then you decided, which you always have their best interest. So it's a good place to start. Whereas in the world, there's people that make the choices for them and they don't have their best interest. Okay. That is an amazing tool that I love to use. Other things that you can do to create that opportunity for them to make decisions is tell them, when you do this, then you can have your reward. When this gets done, when this chore gets done, when this responsibility gets done, then you can, and you insert the reward or something that they really want, and then you walk away. Again, don't stay there to give the opportunity to continue to start a power struggle. This is when this gets done, when you finish with your family contributions, when you finish with your tasks, then you can have the TV, you can have the iPad. Just remember that this is not a way to manipulate them. This is just a tool to help them make decisions for themselves. And this is a tool that you use when things need to get done, when you need them to get things done. Okay. And when you're doing this, make sure that you do it in a calm voice. So you're not threatening them, you're not yelling at them, because then they'll shut down. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to go over is consequences, right? So for you, my listener, I wanted to know, how do I know when to step in? And how do I let them make their own choices and let them fail? There's consequences that need to be set up sometimes, because the natural consequences may not be safe. So with choices, when we're letting our kids make their own choices, it's important to allow the natural consequences to take place as much as possible. Okay. So make sure that if you can, as long as they're safe, allow the natural consequences to happen. I remember my kids would forget their jackets in the winter, and I'm like, sorry, I'm going to be reminding you all the time. If you forget it, it's your responsibility. And they were cold the rest of the day. Those are some natural consequences that you get to decide. Or this is what I made for dinner. If you don't want it, then you'll go hungry, or you can make yourself your own food, right? Hunger is going to be the natural consequence to their choices. Whenever possible, let the natural consequence take place so they can learn for themselves what happens when they make a choice. If you need to make a consequence, if you need to set up a consequence, let's say for rules in the home, right? And let's say they don't come at the time where the curfew, they break their curfew, or you find out they're texting someone that they're not supposed to, things like that. Find logical consequences. And these are delaying or denying a privilege or actions that they can take to make amends. So it would be taking away a phone, taking away the internet, changing the Wi-Fi password, taking away TVs, or taking away the car privileges. Those are logical consequences that have to do with the choices they just make. Make sure that the consequence is connected, linked to the choice, that it's not something completely random and you just blur it out. And if you need to think about it, again, like I was saying in the beginning, I brought my kids into this conversation. I allowed them to be the ones in charge of the consequences too. Okay, so you broke the rule. What do you think is a fair punishment or fair consequence due to your choices? And obviously at first they're like, I don't know, I don't think I deserve anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't contribute to the consequences, then I will make the consequences for you to the best of my ability. And that kind of got them, okay. Well, I think this would be fair. And again, we want them to know that they're being seen, heard, and valued and loved. So I would take in their opinion, and if it didn't align with what I thought as a parent was the best for them based on the values I wanted to pass on to them, then I would be like, okay, thank you, but I think this is the best thing for you. This is the consequence that sounds aligned with what just happened. Again, going back to the beginning, and I want to bring it back to that, is where do you want to be as a parent? Who do you want to be as a parent when your kids make their own choices, and they're not aligned with what you want them to do? Do you want to be supportive? Do you want to have that unconditional love for them no matter what? I do. I had to decide